All right, guys. So we were looking to take this trade right here, but it never planned out. And main reason why, because of the inversion didn't get respected, but we did form a breaker. I was simply waiting for the confirmation of this candle right here. The retracement respected, hold the wick, and then eventually have strong momentum to push up to the upside. But we do have news in 10 minutes. So this is kind of what I wanted to see. This type of candle right here. Strong up close candle, but respecting the inversion. Now we're doing that. So, and also SMT on the chart right here. So you can see ES really didn't respect it. NQ kind of respected it. I mean, ES kind of did respect it. NQ really didn't. Closed way below. Dow Jones is looking really weak too, though. Probably after till news to take a trade here. It just doesn't look high probability for me to look for a trade right now. So I'll probably update you guys whenever I do see something. So again, we're very indecisive. We swept both. Or we have SMT at the lows here. So ES swept those lows. NQ never did. So as you can see that, NQ is stronger. So I would prefer to take it on NQ. I don't know. Maybe I should take this though. But on the 15, we don't really have much here. And if we have a candle closure above, usually that indicates what a higher price is. But right now we're like in between both sides. We swept the lows and now we're sweeping the highs. We're not really having strong displacement. And again, I really am more bearish than bullish here. So I don't know if I would want to take a longs right now to the upside. So I'll probably wait for the shorts to come in and then take the shorts. So yeah, that's pretty much really it. I don't think I would want to take longs. So it sucks, bro, because like I wanted to take longs. The longs would have been like right around here somewhere. Like after this candle, I probably would have entered and then seen it go up. Maybe if we get a candle closure above here, I'll probably take it. But then my objective is already going to be met. It's the 30 minutes outside of balance up there. And again, I'm bearish, so there's no point of trying to take longs. Yeah, boom. Look at that. Strong displacement up. Again, as soon as the inversion is retested, I'm not trying to enter directly because again it can disrespect it, especially since we're counter trending. Even if we have that change in the state of delivery and the breaker forming, I learned that from Monday's trade after we had the inversion and it got disrespected as of recently. So I've been waiting for the inversion retest, and if we don't have a change in the state of delivery after the inversion is formed, I usually don't want to take it, especially if we don't have an external sweep like this. We didn't have an external sweep. That low wasn't swept, so I would prefer to change in the state of delivery, which eventually did happen, and then we started to push up. So, again, I'll go more in depth about that in another video of what I'm looking at. Boom, my objective was met already, so, yeah. I'm going to just sit on the sidelines, and I'll update you guys if I do take something. Maybe shorts. I'll probably take some shorts. So, doesn't look too good. Oh, my God. Maybe this is the bad short. Let's see. Let's hold on. Let's wait. I'm a little bit nervous, though, because NQ is a stronger one, and I should have just took this on ES instead of just taking it here. And we got 5 seconds. Maybe the inversion gets respected. Maybe this changes instead of delivery, and the bearish market and the SIBI gets respected. I might close this trade here before the news, 1 minute before the news. If we don't move down on this candle, yeah. But again, we have like 3 minutes till the news, so I'm not really trying to risk it here. I'm going to wait after the news because we only have like 3 minutes, so there's no point of trying to hold this trade and trade there in the news. Even if it goes in my direction, I'm not trying to trade there in the news. Yeah, I'm distraught. It was more of an impulsive trade, I won't lie to you. So let's get back to it. All right, let's go get into this trade recap. This was the last trade I took before I closed the new account. New account, other account is gone. Let's go over the other trades for the other account. So originally I was short on NQ. I took a short right here, as you saw in the previous video. Previous trade recap right there. Was the lows we were aiming for, and then eventually our objective was the sell side objective. So and we also had a sell side imbalance here, which was the main confluence. As soon as we had this change in state of delivery, and right around here, my stop loss was around here at the IPG high. Pretty much the trade stalled around, and then eventually the news came out, and it eventually just boom hit us, and it would have hit the target. Honestly, we would have not gotten stopped out, but I was afraid. I had FOMO. There was no real confluences here on this trade. If we really review it on the 15, we did have some sweeps above the high. We had the sell side imbalance holding on the 30-minute time frame. We also had the sell side imbalance tapped up into, and that 1 hour inversion, breaking market structure, aiming for these lows, clear objective. I think this trade was good. It was just my emotional state before the news not really being, under control, if I'm being truly honest here. So yeah, that was the first trade, and then we took a second trade on the account. And this trade ended up in a loss. So we were down like around 1.5%. And eventually I took longs. Whenever we did retrace up into here. Let's go over this real quick. Let's go over NQ. And let's go to the 1 minute. It looks better on the 1 minute. So here we had an IFEG form, bearish BPR. I wanted to see this as a breakaway gap since we swept the lows and we swept the external. We had an internal sweep, another internal sweep. We had a inversion fair value gap in a bullish BPR form, and then we had a change in the state of delivery. Right then and there, when I saw that, I instantly became bullish, and I thought, the momentum here was going to continue. But again, what did I tell myself? If we have an internal sweep, before I even started the video, if we have an internal sweep, and we don't have anything externally sweeping like this low right here, right there, if we don't have that low getting swept, wait for the confirmation candle, like wait for the strong momentum to come up, and that never happened. Instantly, whenever we did retrace, we had a bunch of wicks, we were chopping around, stalling, and then eventually, usually another good indication here is whenever we have the market with correlation. So on this right here, suppose we have correlation and we're retracing back up, and the market is coming back, it's retracing back up into the IFEG right here with this candle. What do you want to see? You want to see the market have strong displacement up, like this type of candle, like these type of candles. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to have strong displacement up to then confirm and like have a change in state and then push up. That's when you enter. But again, unfortunate tight stop, really tight stop. We entered and then we had a tight stop loss. Stop loss should have been originally down here, in my honest opinion. But again, we're risking a lot. We're risking 1.5K per trade idea, and eventually here we got stopped out. Boom, took an L, blew the account. I was really disappointed because like this trade would have won. This trade right here would have won. It would have, gotten us to where we would have wanted to be. This was the trade idea. Very unfortunate. At least the entry could have been right here, but then eventually, yeah. And then eventually we took a trade on YM on the new account, and we basically won that. So this was the trade that followed our system. We're going to go over the trades that didn't follow our system in our playbook, and we're going to go over that. All right, so here is the trade we took on the other account. So we took another one. We took another stab on this one, honestly. Pretty unfortunate. So we bought at 47, and then eventually we sold at 2333. Here was the other trade. So I bought and then I sold instantly. I knew this trade wasn't really ideal. It was chopping around. I knew we weren't going up higher, especially with the correlation on the other assets. And I realized YM looked the best. So then eventually I took this L. If we go to performance stats, you can see here I took an L for 855. Cool. I realized that. I was like, all right, we lost. What could we do better next time? I was really being emotional. I won't lie. I was being very emotional after this trade right here that we took, and we got stopped out, and then eventually went and hit our profit target. We would have passed the account. We would have, been up and funded maybe. We would have been funded basically, but I got emotional. I was like, all right. I was like, this is bullshit. This is not, this is pissing me off. I was just angry. I was slamming my hand on my desk, and I was just being emotional. I won't lie to you, because I wasn't one. We got FOMO. Not really FOMO, but this was more of a revenge trading, because we we didn't want to end the day red, and we wanted to be, up on the combine and funded. But if we simply were patient and we waited for 10 a.m. to come in, the silver bullet, taking a trade there, we would have won. You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting chopped around here. But if we go to YM, let's go to the YM trade. On the YM trade, this was the best trade following the system. So I bought 2 and then I bought 3 more. Because again, we were risking not as much as I would have wanted. And I was very confident in this trade right here. Nice clean V shape. What is this? A market maker buy model. On the other ones like NQ, what was it? It was just a chop fest. Doom going up, going down, sweeping internal lows, unable to hold PD arrays. And I looked at my correlation. I was like, all right, YM looks the best here. We had a change in the state of delivery right here, and we also had the breaker form right there. And as soon as we had this inversion fair value gap form right there, this is where my trade idea came into place. I bought like right around here, and then eventually my stop loss was right here at that low of the balance price range. Did not want to see that market come back down here. I wanted to see it get respected, especially with the change in the state of delivery and the SMT we had on the other markets. And I was aiming for this high up here. And another confluence was what? The 15-minute CRT. This was the 15-minute CRT high. This was a clear, one-to-one trade. Could have aimed for more, but I didn't. I just was aiming for around 2K to get me out first of the drawdown, and then eventually put me up on the account, and just for a little bit more than usual. So that was pretty much really it here. This was the trade idea. We entered. We got, a little bit in drawdown, which is cool. But if we go to the confluences here, we had a 15-minute CRT. This was the 15-minute CRT, swept the lows, and then eventually we're aiming for the highs up here. Clear objective. This would have been the other markets again. We're chopping, stalling around, waiting for 10 a.m. and then eventually we started to push up higher. Originally, my bias was bearish going into today, but once I saw YM into that's kind of when I knew I was really bullish on this one. On the 4H, we were sweeping the lows. On the 1H, We also had a sell center balance, which we could have been aiming for, but I just didn't want to. I wanted to get my clean target and call it a day here, because again, I'm not mentally there. And then on the 15, we had a sweep, a false break. What is this? All manipulation right here to go up higher and push up higher. Now that we're having that, this is all what your manipulation. This is your strong distribution, breaking above highs. We can probably retrace, push up higher. But the account is locked out. I'm calling it a day here. And again, we should have been waiting for this type of price action on NQ. On the 15-minute time frame, what did we see? We see the market back and forth, sweeping candle high, sweeping candle low, unable to close above. No clear indication of where we want to go, and then boom, we on this candle high right here, pushed us lower, closed below. This candle swept the low, and then eventually it broke above the high with 10 a.m. coming in. Now we're pushing up higher. On the 5-minute time frame, again, really choppy. What is the 5-minute looking like here? Strong manipulation to the downside to then eventually push up higher. Once we reach into that higher time frame PDA array, we got stopped out here multiple times, because again, we're trading inside the chop. Even though NQ looked like the stronger one compared to ES, it just doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter simply because this was the best market to trade here. The conditions were clear on the 15, on the 1 hour, and it had a higher time frame PDA array. On NQ, what higher time frame PDA array did we tap up into? On the 1H and above, what higher time frame PDA array? We tapped up into this right here, but that was before the news. That was all the way before the news. We tapped up into that, and then we could have entered, we could have held the trade, and then we could have hit our take profit. But we got emotional because we didn't want the news to stop us out, and the bias was correct. I won't lie to you, the bias was correct. We would have hit. It was just an emotional trade, and then eventually we started to push up higher. And now we're getting there. I'm gonna have to journal this, review, analyze it. So again, we're on another combine. We're up. Just a very emotional day, honestly. I'm not proud of myself for this emotional state I was in. Unable to control myself, being emotional. And again, I did tell myself I was going to wait after the news, but then I answered before the news. Again, just getting FOMO, being impatient, rushing the process, being emotional. It was just bad. It was bad. Revenge trading, just bad. If this trade lost, I think I would have called it a day, honestly. But after that, I got really level-headed, rung my my tuning forks, reset it. I did a reset, and eventually I came into this, trade idea with a very level-headed approach, bigger stop loss, clean price action. I was like, all right, this is the best one. Inversion, pushing up. This is a clear trade. If I lose on this trade, I'm going to call it a day and walk away and go to the gym, because I was like furious. I was angry. I was pumped up, and I still am pumped up. I still want to go to the gym. But even though we won, again, I feel like I'm going somewhere, but then I'm not going anywhere, because again, we're unable to follow the rules. We're unable to follow the system. We're being impatient, and we're being emotional. We're not able to control the psychological aspect whenever we're trading these combines. And that's the hardest thing right now, because again, we're so close to passing, but we make such silly mistakes that closes the gap real quick, because again, we're risking heavy. So if we simply follow the model and we took A+ setups only, and we review the playbook, not the trading journal, but the playbook of what A+ setups look like, and I'm going to put this one in there because it is an A+ setup, we would have been passing the account. Because again, I'm trading every single day, and I'm like going into the market expecting something. Yesterday we didn't trade. But today we did. We traded multiple times. I broke my rules. I'm only trying to take one trade a day, because it eliminates those bad trades, and it makes you look for high quality setups. So again, we're breaking the rules. We're not following the system. We're being emotional, and we're like not controlling the psychology, and that's something I need to work on. And I think over time it's gonna get better with the more experiences we deal with, because again, we're gonna be more experienced. We're gonna be more seasoned. But it all just comes down to discipline and consistency. Just following your rules, sticking to your strategy, and that's it, bro. So, again, we're up on the account, but we lost the other one. And we could have been up on the other account, past it, if we simply stuck to the first trade and our bias on the first trade. Or if we just simply were disciplined and followed our rules, be like, all right, this isn't following our system. This is an emotional trade. Let's skip it. Boom, news comes out. The second trade, we skip it. Then we look at this market and we take this trade. A+, boom. We passed the account. Simple as that. But again, we're back to where we started. We're up 1.2K. And now we just got to aim for the profit target, which is 3K again. And yeah, now I'm going to journal, review, analyze, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.